Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me as always is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo. It got cold again.
That's why I have long sleeves on tonight. Yeah, it was so nice when I woke up. It was nice and the sun was out. You know, I thought it's going to be warm out today. No, it's not. We had a snow last night.
We had snow yesterday.
Like it was, you know, it was actually snowing snow.
Stick
We had a
around.
whiteout at 8:30 when I came back from a meeting. I couldn't even see. Thank God I'm only a mile from the town hall, so it wasn't any big deal. So winter is still here, folks, for another half a day maybe. I don't know.
It's supposed to warm up towards the weekend. So.
Yeah.
As always, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades
Brought to you by.
Brought to you by, oh, I said the wrong words.
That's all right.
It is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club. That is wilsonhillpistol.org. That is 1732 Lakeshore Road. We have open membership. You can go to the website and get our training schedule. Coming up this Saturday, we have our Try a Gun. So we're going to have a few dozen handguns. We're going to have instructors and range officers that allow you to handle the firearms, shoot the firearms, figure out what you like before you go and spend money on something that you have no experience with. And we'll have older firearms, we'll have newer firearms. We've you know, people are coming in with new stuff all the time. So it's a good event. We have it a couple of times a year. It's a good opportunity if you don't know what you're looking for to come, find out all about it, talk to the instructors, schedule a class. So that is this Saturday. And next Saturday on the 19th, we have the FAST handguns. Again, FAST is fundamentals and safety training. So that is the basic level handgun class on April 19th. And then the next thing on the schedule will be May 10th. That's Defensive Shotgun Level 2. You must have completed Defensive Shotgun Level 1, which is an absolutely wonderful course. It's fun. I'm going to be in the Shotgun 2 course in May, and we'll talk about that later. So that's all that. We have a phone call already.
We haven't even talked yet.
Let's answer that. Hello, you're on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades.
And you're not.
And you're not here. We have a guest tonight, a returning guest, Chris Ager. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Do you have
Thanks
a
for
title
coming
anymore?
back.
Title? Former chairman?
Yeah.
Former chairman of the New Hampshire Republican Party. So
That's it.
Are you happy you're a former?
Yeah. It's it was good while it lasted, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm a big fan of term limits in everything, and you know, our Democratic counterpart's been there, I think, 18 years.
Yeah.
And you know, you see what's happening in the state.
Sure.
Republicans are being dominant again.
Yep.
And the vice chairman took over, so you know he had been there with me for a while.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim McEachern, and
Yep.
so the party's in pretty good shape. So yeah, why not?
Good. Yeah, I've tried to get Jim on. He seems to be very busy right now, but I may have you call him and kind of squeeze him a little. I think it would be good to have him on the show. I think he needs to do that.
I think it's always good for any kind of leadership of a public organization to get out and talk as much as possible to people, and it also kind of sharpens your skills. Because you're going to have to go on WMUR, the radio. Right. You're going to have to
those smaller
debate.
venues, right? You know.
Yeah, and so it's good to it's good to get out there with your friends first
to practice.
Yeah, and you know, and there's little things that you learn, and you know, it gets you more comfortable. So hopefully he'll have time to come.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on. I mean, with
tons
this. And we were talking a little bit earlier before we went on. Is CD1 is really our best shot, I think, this time, and we need to win. I can't remember. Oh, the last time we won was either Charlie Bass or
Frank Ginta.
Frank Ginta, yeah, those were the last two I remember, and that was it. And that's we can't keep doing that. What do you think the problem is there?
So, you know, we are able to win at the state level because we brand the party in the state to the issues that people in the state care about.
Okay.
The national branding is really centered around Tennessee, Arkansas kind of values, which is a little bit different than the Northeast.
Yeah.
And so the national brand is different than the local brand. So local brand, we do well. National brand is a little bit different. So our candidates have to differentiate themselves from the national party and run as New Hampshire Republicans. And if they can do that, we can do better. The problem comes in, or the difficulty, the challenge is if you're running a primary, sometimes the person that goes furthest to the right, away from where the people in New Hampshire are, gets those people to come out and vote, and you get somebody who's maybe not reflective of the overall electorate. Or they are, but their rhetoric is too far to the right, which drives away people in the middle. And we've had some great candidates in the past that were branded with that far right, kind of out of touch. And all's fair in politics.
No, I feel like when we talk about what is far right, I feel like New Hampshire Republicans are right, and somewhat far right. Like there's extremes, but I feel like
but there's only 34-35% Republicans in the state. That's it.
Yeah.
And then we got about 30% Democrats, and then the people in the center.
That's Republicans that are registered. I mean, we have a huge independent base. You know, probably
we do
percentage-wise.
It's
more than other states, most other states, right? I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
And then we have the libertarians and the free staters. They are far right. That's far right.
No, but I mean,
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like in my town we have the Honorable John Burt. That's far right, but that's what wins votes in my town.
Right, and if you take that and go state level, you get crushed. And so we have pockets of very staunch conservative areas.
Yep.
But then you look at the whole state. Where's the population? It's in the cities. Who has the most votes? Those cities. Nashua, is almost 100,000. Manchester, 120,000. I mean, that's where the votes are.
Yep.
And so we've got to win votes in Nashua and Manchester to win. You have to.
Yeah.
And so we've got to, on the social issues, we have been a little bit too far to the right as a national party to win in New Hampshire. Locally, we win. Kelly won. Sununu, supermajority in the Senate, thanks a little bit to gerrymandering. House, pretty decent majority. We can do well, and we can do well statewide. We just have to have a New Hampshire branded candidates. Like Tom Cotton can win in Arkansas. He crushes it there. Here, not so sure he'd win. Ted Cruz wins in Texas. Not so sure he wins here. And so national Republicans and New Hampshire, we have to differentiate our New Hampshire Republicans and not go soft, or left to center, nothing like that, but just it's got to be New Hampshire Republican. Chris Sununu, had he run for Senate, I think he would have won.
Yeah.
I think most people believe he would have won had he run.
He says no now, but he can change his mind. The filing deadline is
14 months.
A year away.
A long ways away, right?
I don't think he will.
I don't either.
I agree, but
I think he burnt a bridge in D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't.
You don't go picking up endorsements and then not run, right?
Yeah, within 48 hours, it's like, what happened? I'm not so sure that was
that was not a
good move. Yeah.
I'm really interested in that because I really believe you're right with that. We can win here, and we show it all the time.
We can
win here. As a conservative, you can. But it doesn't match what the national...
So who is that person? Because we've got to find that New Hampshire Republican. He's got to have...
He or she
has to have... I was going to correct myself.
Okay, well, just
give me time.
Keeping track of this.
Everybody knows I'm not big on pronouns. He or she has to have some name recognition.
Right.
right? We can't.
So
we
they've
can't-
had to run
We
them
can't
for-
take someone who's well known in southern New Hampshire and run them up to Littlefield and Coos.
Well,
and-
there's
right, with no name recognition.
so I'm working this. I mean,
And
I'm
then-
actually working.
And then we need the money because the Democrat national money machine is killing us.
Yeah, so I'm actually
Those three
working
things
this.
are
So you haven't.
Yeah.
You're still working it.
I'm working it. I mean, just today I talked to the NRSC and the NRCC, the Congressional, Senate, National Committees. The Senate race is on the table right now, and there's so many fewer Senate races that if
That
you
you
have
can
one
swing,
that's
yeah.
competitive, open seat, it's definitely going to get attention.
Yep.
The House seats, CD1 in particular, since it's an open seat
Yep.
with Pappas running for Senate, is getting a lot of attention, and the demographics there actually
the
leans.
national level?
Oh yeah, it leans slightly right, slightly Republican.
Okay.
Democrats have a money advantage, clearly.
Yes.
So when they had 4 incumbents, they had not only the name recognition, they had the money advantage and the branding advantage. So they had a lot of advantages. This time in 26, the biggest wild card is what's the national mood going to be on Republicans with the midterm.
Yeah.
Are Democrats going to be so angry they come out to vote against Republicans, against Trump agenda, and Republicans will say, well, Trump's not on the ballot, I don't need to show up. That could hurt us. Or could this be Donald Trump, wild card, wild man? You never know what's going to happen with Trump. And all of a sudden in the midterm, people come out and say, I want to help Trump get his agenda done. We're coming out to vote, and the Democrats are demoralized. Don't know which way that's going to go. So some people who traditionally would have sat out a midterm saying, hey, I don't want to run and lose, are now
Thinking about
looking at, hey, maybe with that open CD1 seat with Trump, maybe it's viable. So we need money.
Yep.
We need the grassroots to support somebody, and we need the establishment.
Need both.
You need all three: money, grassroots, establishment. If they all line up behind one person early enough, there will not be a bruising, ugly primary. It'll still be a primary. New Hampshire's going to have a primary.
Sure.
But there'll be one candidate that could get the momentum to win in CD1. So that looks like a really good opportunity. Not going to be easy.
Right.
Senate, Scott Brown versus Pappas. There's some polling. They had Scott Brown down a little bit.
Yeah.
Within single digit, high single digits. And he hasn't been doing a lot of public things. Is that within reach? The smart guys say it's possible if he raises the money, does what he needs to
Gets the
do.
grassroots done, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Hard. He's been working hard. He's been almost every night he's out
Talking.
campaigning.
Yeah.
Scott Brown already.
Yeah.
So he's doing the grassroots thing. He can raise money. So money, grassroots. He needs the establishment support. Establishment, national level, you get Trump's endorsement. There is no primary. In the state, he gets along well with, I think, Kelly Ayotte and Governor Sununu. Is there anybody else I can think of right now? Yeah, there's probably a handful of people that could mount a challenge, but nobody's expressed interest to start doing anything yet. He's the only one at the moment.
Yeah.
He's been to D.C., met with all the Washington folks. He's been meeting with local Republican activists, people who you'd think,
Would never vote for him.
Yeah, these are people who are pretty staunch, hardcore conservative people. He's been meeting with them, and he's been taking shots, having discussions. So we'll see what happens. My prediction, it'd be Scott Brown versus Pappas in the nail biter. But again, 14 months, yeah, a lot can change.
happen. Yeah.
A lot can change.
Yeah. Well, when you were the national committee man too, that had to help you with running, being the chair of the party too, right? And also your connections down there. That's where they first started.
Yeah, it's with
Pretty
being
much.
committee man.
Yeah, being the committee man.
Yeah,
Right.
and we have quiet visitors that come up sometimes and assess what's on the ground. So this is very methodical, organized. I mean, people come up, meet with people, assess their ability to raise money, look at their name recognition. There's going to be polling that goes on before, and nobody will see this. It won't be in the public eye.
Right.
There'll be all this work, and it may come down if all of a sudden you see a bunch of Washington people and state officials endorsing somebody, a lot of money coming in, and grassroots people, doing endorsements, then you'll know all that work is finally coming to a point where, okay, pull the trigger. So this is not going to be next June. Oh, who signed up? It's not going to. That's how we lose.
Yes.
It's going to be organized, solidified. You could almost say there'd be a mini primary before the primary of who do the people with the money and influence think has the best chance of winning.
Right.
Still up to the voters.
Sure.
It's always still up to the voters. But we can't walk in and say, I wonder who's going to run in June. Good luck. We'll see after the primary. Not going to win. We got to help people before the primary. So that's what's going to happen this time.
So is there a risk that, it's a long process, right? I mean, we're early on.
Yeah.
Is there a risk that folks just get tired of it? And I mean, because it is going to be a midterm.
Right.
Statistically or historically, Republicans don't show up because they're busy working for a living. And so we're going to have low turnout. I mean, we can almost predict that right now. We're going to have low turnout, but we've also got to push for that high turnout. We have to push to get our guy in there. Yep. And make sure there's not too much infighting along the way. If someone else decides to run and there's a primary, we have to make sure that there's not so much infighting that everybody has a bad taste in their mouth about one or the other and simply throw up their arms. Is there a risk that we just get tired of it by the time the election comes around?
I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is a lot of the work that's going on now is really below the surface. I mean, if I told you that for the last 3 months, somebody has been working with individuals and organizations almost every day, the average person doesn't know that. So they're not overburdened by it. And the people who are being talked to now are the ones who are really interested in it. They're the people like us who are like, they live for this.
Yeah.
They can't get enough of it. Towards the end, I believe what's going to happen is if Donald Trump and J.D. Vance get involved in this race, it will help Republicans tremendously. Now, between now and then, a lot can happen. It depends how the administration's doing. If we're doing kind of okay, they can make a difference in generating turnout because people will crawl over broken glass for Donald Trump. A lot of people, enough people to win a midterm, but they got to come out. Yeah. And he's the only one that can motivate them to come out.
I think people are just as excited about Vance. I think he could come up here and be a proxy and really motivate us.
I totally agree. And with Caroline Leavitt, in the position she's at, she can help us.
Yeah.
We'll probably see a few more people.
You still owe me an appearance, Caroline. You canceled on me 2 years ago.
We may see a few more people from New Hampshire appointed to the administration.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
That'll help with the New Hampshire, get the excitement up. I mean, Fred Doucette already is at FEMA for the Region 1, which is great. There'll be a few more people going in. And they can be surrogates. Hatch Act, you got to be careful of. But, just knowing those people are there is just fantastic. But if they come up and visit, even on an official visit, you bring all those people in tow with you. You're not campaigning, but you're highlighting all the good stuff that you can do for New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So we got a real shot. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy.
Well, it never is when this happens. Congressional seats are.
But CD1 and the Senate are in play. CD2 is a Hail Mary. It just is. The demographics, lean Democrat. If Goodlander stays an incumbent with money, pretty tough to beat in a left-leaning in a midterm. So the focus is on CD1 and Senate. And I think if we show that we have the ability to raise money with the candidates and they have name recognition where they can get some polling that's close enough, then the external money flows in.
Right.
But if you can't get the polling and you can't raise money on your own, they're not going to dump money in for you.
Yeah.
They help those who help themselves.
Yeah, and they want to put their money on a person they think they can win.
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about that before on the show because people get really upset and say, well, they never supported them. Well, the fact of the matter is, if the person hasn't been able to do what they expected them to do, they want to put their money on a winner. So,
Right.
and we want that because we want to win the Senate again in the House. We hope it was our people, but not necessarily.
21 congressional seats in New England, 0 Republicans.
Yeah,
So to say, oh, we're going to win CD1 and 2,
I know.
people look at you like, what? The math doesn't. See, oh, we
Yeah,
can
but
win
doesn't
CD1.
mean we should ignore CD2. I mean,
no.
you know, Lily keeps winning the primary over there, or she, but is
Matt Mowers won a primary in CD1.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Well, no, I understand that.
Yeah,
but
and
you know, I realize that that's a tough district.
That's
but
my district too.
If
so.
if we're, I think we should still focus on it. I don't want to let I don't want to let opportunities disappear.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean, Lily may run again. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her.
She
She's
did
been
a
on the-
little announcement today
she's-
that says she's doing an exploratory committee, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she's been on the show a few times.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been any other exciting names come up in that district.
we have 14 months, and CD2 is harder.
yes, it is.
But
yeah.
if Goodlander stays, it's going to be hard to attract any outside money, you know, like the big money. Because like the candidates last year, 24, were they the biggest one and for Congress, maybe raised $500,000, something like that.
yeah,
If you get NRCC involved, you're talking $3, $4, $5 billion. So
right out of the box.
it's like you have to convince these people you can win.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but on the other hand, I would think that the national committee would say, hey, you know what? Ted Cruz has got it, right?
Yeah.
Cotton's got it. Maybe we can siphon off a little bit and focus on these areas that we know we have a problem in New Hampshire. Let's be a little more liberal. Unfortunately, that's a word to use. Let's be a little more liberal with our money in New Hampshire and help these guys out. Just give them that just a little bit extra. Like, I would think that they'd want to focus on these problem areas.
Well, what I'm trying to do is tee up the reasons and the people and the situation where they will say, yeah, we want to invest there.
Yeah.
You know, and by putting our best foot forward. But our best foot forward's not 5 people equally beating the living bejesus out of each other in the
Right.
primary.
Right.
If
Can't
that
be-
happens, they will not invest.
right.
Right.
So if
Yeah.
we can kind of get together and say, hey, this person is raising more money, they got better possibility of win, what do you other 4 think? Can we
Right.
work? Now, in politics, that generally doesn't work because you got to have a big ego to run.
Sure,
You have
especially
to.
in those
and you got to be strong, and you got to be type A, and you got to
Right.
be like, nobody's talking me out of running, I'm going to run.
Right.
And so
Then you lose.
You give them an argument they can't refuse. You say, look, the deck is stacked against you. Do you want to be embarrassed? Do you want to be embarrassed in the primary? We'll be happy to do that for you. Or you can be part of the team, and then we can work something else out.
Yeah.
That's
the
the
way to do
sausage
it.
making. You can't force somebody not to run. You can't threaten
No.
them. You can't do anything like. You just encourage them and say, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Here's why. Here's why this is a better candidate, and see if they agree. And we've had success doing that in
Yep.
the past at state races,
Yes.
not federal. Federal, I mean, the egos, man, they're just so big. They don't want to listen to somebody. They're like, I'm running, damn it, I'm the best person. And you want those kind of A personalities.
Sure.
You want them.
Yeah.
You got to be like that to go survive in D.C.
Yeah.
But we'll try to appeal a little bit to their rational side of let's do some analysis and say, hey,
Yeah.
we've lost like the last 18 federal races in a row, something like that. Frank
Yes.
Ginta, was it 2014? Last time he won.
Yep.
I mean, he lost, he won, he lost.
Yep.
To Carol Shea Porter. Since then, we've been bumpkiss, and
Yes.
it's like, I got a great idea. Hey, let's do the same thing we've been doing the last 10 years. Maybe this time it'll work.
So I have 2 questions. One, who do you think will run for the open seat on the Democrat side? Because that would be an interesting play there. That might make the difference on us getting an opportunity to really win that seat too.
Oh, definitely. The competition's a huge, huge part of this.
Yeah. I have a name, but
Yeah,
I want to hear yours.
So, Stephanie Shaheen.
There it is.
Right out of the gate.
Yep.
If she ran, instant credibility because name recognition.
Yep.
Well, she's got the name. She's got the last name. But what else has she been doing?
Money. What's she been doing?
She's been working. I think she's been working with Dean Kamen on
Yes.
some projects and things. I think she might actually work for him. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She also has done some philanthropic things, and I think she was in local government out on the seacoast.
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe a selectman or something. So she's been active. I've met her. She would be a formidable candidate. She's a very good speaker. She has the kind of presence that you'd expect of somebody running for higher office. So she'd be formidable.
Yep.
I'm not sure she wants to do it. Don't
Right.
know. But she'd be formidable, last name alone.
Yes.
Name recognition.
Right.
Yep.
That I think Morris Sullivan, is that?
Yes.
She ran before.
Yes.
Marine Corps veteran.
Yep.
Ran the primary, lost to Pappas back in the day. She could run. You could maybe look at some of the state senators.
Maybe one that lost
Recently?
Donna Susi.
You could.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I think between Sullivan and Shaheen, they would be maybe they'd be the most formidable. And if
What
Shaheen ran, the
happens if we
fundraising
we
from
get a
her
name we
mom.
never heard of. I mean, because we've seen.
I'd love
them-
that.
We've seen them do that before, where they
Yep.
Carol Shea Porter was a
They'll,
name we never
they'll
heard
dump
of.
somebody in the state from out of state, get
Oh,
them
Goodlander,
residency just long enough to qualify,
Yeah.
and then pump a lot of money into them. I mean,
Yep.
that's certainly a possibility as well, isn't it?
It absolutely is. When
That one just irks me when that happens.
yeah.
I mean, it irks me when the Republicans do
I mean,
it. We
they're
had,
still
we
co-
had the fellow from Colorado come over. It's like, you've been here for 2 months,
Right.
right? I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I
don't buy
I
into
agree.
it. It's perfectly legal. You can't stop it, but
Yeah.
it's a.
It's frustrating.
Well, I mean, I still feel like a newcomer. I just moved here in 1989, so I feel their pain, but you never know what's going to happen in an election. The best you can do is stack up all the pieces that give you the best advantage, and the best advantage we have right now looks like it could be CD1, could be, and then the Senate. I know Scott Brown can raise tens of millions of dollars, and he's got name recognition.
Yep.
Now he's still got a ton of work to do. He'd have to win over a lot of voters.
Yeah, people still think he's a carpetbagger.
So let me give
Right.
you. So you were pumping up Lily a little bit. Who's lived in the state longer, Lily or Scott Brown?
Scott Brown.
A lot longer. Whose family has ties here 9 generations back, and whose family has 0 ties here? Scott Brown.
Absolutely, but
I mean,
That's
so
how
you-
they look at
I'm
it.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not looking at.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the ones that have showed up and really just rented a house
Yeah,
in the
and split
district.
out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
that
yeah.
that irritates me.
Yeah.
If you've been here 10 years, if you've been here 20 years, and
Your
you're
family's
invested
ties. Yep.
in New Hampshire. Right.
Yep, agree.
So
Yeah, and Corky, Corky got kind of blown out
Yes.
in the general.
Yeah,
15 points, which is
pretty substantial.
pretty solid. We can't we can't do that again and expect to win.
No.
We just can't. So the guys with the money really do a lot of analysis, and it's not emotional. It's numbers, polling. How much money can you raise? What are the issues? They look. What are the demographics of your voters, and then they decide to invest their money or not.
Right.
And so,
It's like Shark Tank.
yeah, kind of. So our job is to give them all of that data, not BS them, but give them
Right.
the data, make it such that they say, yes, this package is something I can invest in. If we don't do that, we're going to lose. If
Yeah.
they don't invest, we lose.
is the other side thinking about it in the same way, or are they just dumping money and name recognition at stuff, and then playing on people's feelings? Right? Are they?
Yeah, they're very methodical and
just gonna say.
professional about this. But we see the emotional, blue hair, screaming people. But they have a very professional political class of people that, analyze these things. They get behind candidates. They,
Yep.
you know, and they work it hard.
Yep.
So
Well, that
they're
didn't
very
work for them
formidable.
with Waltz and Harris.
Yeah, that
I'm hoping the machine is breaking down. on
I
this.
hope. So. Well, you know, they have a problem. The Democrats have a
Seriously.
problem, but we can't rely on their problem for us to win. But
Correct.
They have a motivation problem. They have they have nothing that people are like interested in. Like, people will crawl over broken glass for Donald Trump right now on our side. A lot of people would do that.
Sure.
They would do anything to help the guy. Democrats side, it's like if they had a free donut, they'd look at it suspiciously and like, is that really a free donut? And it's a whole different dynamic. They have a big motivation problem. We need to help keep it that way.
Yeah.
And the best way is if Trump administration performs,
Yes.
we can have a really good mid-year. And
Yeah.
so
And that's always the toughest, right?
Right.
it is, because we don't have direct control over that.
Yep.
But that, you know, if we set up our little kit and everything looks great, but at the national level the party's doing poorly and the administration's doing poorly, then it doesn't matter, you know. But our job is to be positioned so that if the situation at the national level is right, if the Democrats don't have some overwhelming advantage with their candidate and money, then we can win.
They seem to be on the wrong side of all the issues.
Yeah.
I mean,
the moment-
it's incredible that, and they double down on it, which I don't understand. I don't understand at all. I mean, okay, so let's make sure we get men and women's sports. You know, Pappas said that. I mean, that's how he voted.
Yeah.
And he's tough. He's feisty. I saw that term the other day. He's feisty. And you know,
I don't see that. I don't see anything out of him until a campaign year.
Right.
Right,
I don't
'cause
see
you don't see
anything.
him.
Where's the feisty?
Yeah, none.
And it's always voting party line. There's no feisty there.
So the thing is, you know, if you watch WMUR, even their lead-ins to the political situation in the state, there's Pappas. Even then, he's not even talking to her. They have a mic in front of him, and his picture's there, and his face is there, and I'm thinking, you can't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. But it's an ABC station now, and
Right.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
WMUR, I love state level.
Yep.
State level, they're pretty fair.
They are a fair state.
Like between Democrats and Republicans, very fair.
I agree.
Once you get up to the federal and national,
Forget it.
You know, it kind of tilts the way all the big mainstream
Yeah,
media
no,
does,
I understand
unfortunately.
that, yeah.
But you know, I'm just thankful at the local level we get a fair shake.
No, they've been fair.
And you know, I give them a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's the editors and the people higher up. It's
Yes.
not the people working in the newsroom
No.
and the reporters. You know,
It
they're trying to
hasn't
do
been
their
for,
thing.
for decades, right? Like the folks that are the talking heads on the they're not the investigative journalists.
Right, yeah,
They're
they're-
not out on the street digging up the stories. They're being handed the stories. Right.
And reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the reporters who do the story, that's not what goes to people, you know, the anchors. I mean, it goes through editors, and they fix it
Before
up.
before the
they
edit.
fix it up to get them out. So it's those people that you know have the influence.
Yeah.
And at the national level, it's way worse than local. Local is much more fair because
It has
we
been.
see those people in the grocery store.
Exactly.
You know, I can go over to the office and talk to them.
Yeah.
They're more fair. National level, it's tough.
Yeah.
Is that
that's-
why? Because they know they're going to get called out, right? Hey, I just talked to my state rep, and I call into this WMUR and say, "What are you doing?" Right?
Yeah, I think part of
is
it's-
that part of it.
Part of it's like you're
Yeah.
local and you'll see them. The other part is their bosses don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Like local, they kind of don't care. But at the federal and national level, they do care. So they've got to be
Yeah.
more careful. And I got to say, I have a different opinion than a lot of my Republican friends, but we have to engage with the press. Because if we don't, they'll tell the other guy's story. And we won't even have a chance to get our story in. And so even if it's like leans a little bit left, it's like you got to just suck it up and go,
Yep.
I got to be careful. I got to make sure I'm on my game. I got to get my message out.
I agree.
And got to work with them.
Yep.
If somebody really screws you over, though,
That's the
you got to
end.
go cold turkey on them.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just name a couple that people might consider keeping an eye out, but like MSNBC, it's like they're not
Yeah.
going to give you a fair shake.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Maybe Huffington Post.
Yeah.
Some of those you got to be careful.
Yeah, once
even
in a while,
talking.
Huffington Post is, but for the most
Depends
part,
on the maybe on the
right.
reporter or the show.
Yes.
But there's a couple like CNN. You kind of have to talk to. You kind because
Yeah,
they're
you do.
if you're at the big level. At
Yes.
And they're-
local
and they're
level, you don't
starting
have to.
They're starting to report things a little bit more fairly.
Yeah.
CNN. I mean, they're
Well-
capitulating and say, yeah, this is right and that's right, and they're so. You have left the party, or retired, or
Yeah, I'm not in any. I don't have any official role in the party right now.
Right, but you're still a Republican. Yeah. So and so, are you in an advisory position? Do you consider yourself a politician or a strategist? We had you on the show earlier, and you laid out the plan for the
Very
next couple of
strategic.
years.
Yeah.
The whole strategy of
Yeah.
let's get the state under control, and let's get the. So,
Yeah.
what are you now? Are you a politician, or are you going to continue to
I'm-
be a behind-the-scenes strategist?
I'm more on the strategy planning side. I
So
really,
you're not going to run then?
I have no intentions of running. I've learned this from watching guys. I have no intentions of running at this time. No, I like to. I was a program manager, and we did laser development and production, really high tech stuff. That you had so many moving parts, not literally, but
Yeah.
just like programmatically. And so I like to lay out a plan and then make it happen. And so I'm like, okay, we got this plan. We got to pick up at least one federal seat. That was our plan for 28. I'm sorry, for 26.
26.
It was always our plan for 26. Back when I took one
We got
in 22.
3 seats up, and we're going to get one
We
of them.
got to win one. So we don't need to tell the Democrats it's the Senate or CD1. We don't have to tell them. They'll see where the money
Sure.
goes. But we'll probably eye one of them and say this is our top priority. Last year, our top priority was making sure we won governor.
Yep.
And,
Corner office. yeah.
and that would help us keep the Senate and the
And the
House.
Senate, yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
so then that would set us up to go for federal, which means we're probably not going to put as much effort into the House at the macro level, but individual candidates and the House PAC and Senate, they're going to go all in.
Sure.
Right? They'll be doing, and the governor will be running all in, but then that little extra layer is going to be looking, okay, federal, which one can we help? And that's going to be the big focus. So we're gonna win one, and we need to win one because Republicans need a voice in Congress.
Absolutely.
From New Hampshire. Once you win one, then you can attract more fundraising to help across the board. Gives you a better chance to pick up another seat, or possibly two. So we got to break in and win that one seat. It's critical. And so we can't. If we had $1 million, we wouldn't say, okay, you get 333,000, you get 333, you get 300.
Right.
Good luck. It's probably going to be who's got the best chance. You get $1 million
Yeah.
because we got to win one.
Yes.
So now if it looks 50-50, you go, what do you do? Do you split
Right.
it and lose both? Or do you say, I'm so sorry, you had a great shot, but we're going to go with JP?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
think about it. There's a strategy there, and there's a strategy at the national level too,
Yep.
right? If you get the 50-50 and we get the choice between Senate and House, and down in Washington, we know we're going to hold the Senate, but we're wishy-washy on the
Exactly.
House.
Yep.
We've got to think about that. 'cause
No, we need 218 House seats. And last election, it was really
it
close.
was a nail biter.
Super close. But in all of the projections that the congressional folks were doing, we didn't factor in to those. So we said, oh, well, we didn't factor in. They weren't going to give us really money unless we had a big breakthrough. And okay, we don't need them to, in their estimation, we didn't need them to keep the House. Okay, fine. Let's focus on state. It was all
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was all kind of agreed to.
Yeah.
This time, I'm thinking, no, it's gonna be federal. This is our year to do
We need
federal.
to let the folks at the national level know that we're important. Like we need.
Yeah, and we're doing that. We're giving them the data they need to make an educated decision and putting our best foot forward. So
So we're still.
I mean, I'm talking to these guys every day. Every single day, I talk to somebody in D.C.
Nice.
So
we've been first in the nation again. Republicans have. Do you think? What do you think the Democrats will do?
They're going to have to be first. Here.
Yeah.
And no matter what the DNC says, their candidates are going to come here and compete.
Sure, they are.
Because open seat.
Yeah.
They're not going
That's why
to. They're not going to give up. They're not going to give up the opportunity to come to New Hampshire and make a splash. There is going to be. Oh, thanks for reminding me on that. There's the 50th anniversary of the passage of House Bill 73. That was the bill that Democrat state rep, I think it's Jim Splain out of the Seacoast, I think Portsmouth. He was the sponsor of that bill that basically set up why we can do the First Nation primary. It gives the Secretary of State the ability to pick the date and keep us first. 50th anniversary is May 27th, and we're going to be doing a little ceremony at the State House to celebrate that. And former Representative Splain, Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Bill Gardner, a bunch of people are going to come, and it should be a good time. So if you're interested in coming, it's going to be in the State House 27th. We'll send you an invite.
27th of May.
27th of May, and the Secretary of State is kind of the head honcho of that, and it's on the governor's.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's already on the governor's calendar.
Okay.
And it should be a lot of fun. Hey, there'll be free cake.
So Bill was on the show, I don't know, 4 years ago now. We had him on the show. He was still Secretary of State at the time, and we went through the entire history of.
Oh, yeah.
Elections and primaries, what primaries are on the nation, and how we ended up in that position. And we talked through, I mean, he was Secretary of the State. He was responsible for, 40 years? I mean,
plus.
Yeah.
It was the early 70s when and then it wasn't until.
And he's like,
recently.
he's like Google. I mean, he's got all this information in his head.
But he went through the entire thing. It was a great show. It was one of my favorite shows, and he brought a poster that outlined the whole history of New Hampshire first in the nation. He signed it for me. I got my picture taken. Oh yeah. No, Bill's a great guy.
He is.
So he'll be there. Yeah,
he'll be there. I believe he's actually ordering the cake because the 100th anniversary of the primary being first, our first primary. Bill was Secretary of State, and he got a cake, and so for the 50th anniversary of the passage of the HB 73, he's like, oh, let me get a cake, a similar cake from the same guy. So, and Bill Gardner, fun. Democrat, Jim Splain, Democrat. Right. The primary is bipartisan. Let's keep it here.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that Ray Buckley and I totally agreed on back, when we were both chairman. Is like we got to work together as much as possible.
To keep it
for the First Nation, and so, when they didn't keep it from the DNC and the rules, we tossed one or two little elbows, but we didn't really attack them on it because we need to work together on it.
Yeah,
we can't be adversarial on that one issue. Everything else, fair game, but on that issue, it's too important to the state. It's just so important.
It's the one thing that we all have always come together on, right? It's,
and the Democrats tried,
get
and
these candidates up here. We're the first in the nation. We get to make that splash.
And there is a committee, a First in the Nation primary committee, that's a 501c4 that can do things maybe that politicians can't or might not want to do, but that's going to help try to promote the primary. And let the politicians run for their offices, but have a separate committee that is helping promote it. Give the candidates key information they need to help them. Give them points of contact, phone lists. Of people that authorize it. Emails. Who's who in the zoo. Where great places are to go campaign. The contacts at the different venues. All of that. We might even give them your number for a radio station here. But it's something that kind of brings us together. Democrats, Republicans alike.
Yeah. Is there a danger of this coming up again and like the National Party, they're on board with us,
Republicans are on board.
with this being first in the nation.
Yes.
But the Democrats, are they still going to fight this? Are they
Yeah,
gonna-
they're still fighting it. I think what's going to happen is the candidates are going to be like, I can't miss it. And Bill Gardner had a great plan, and Secretary of State Scanlon's continuing it on. It's like, if you can keep at least one party here for the primary, they will have candidates come, the press will come, and the other party candidates are going to be like, I just can't stay away. I got to be there. And then even if one party says, like the Democrats did, we're not going to be there, they're still going to be there. The candidates are going to come, and the candidates are going to drive the show. Even if they don't get any delegates, even if they get penalized, they're going to be like, I can make a big splash here. And so we work with Iowa and South Carolina and Nevada as well. Nevada's a little bit of a problem, and they're a problem because they have a primary and a caucus. And when the party was sued, and I was sued by Testerman et al. To have us close the primary, we would have had to either violate state law, have state law changed, or do a separate event from what the state does, kind of like Nevada. And right now, Nevada, Trump won, I think the delegate vote, and Nikki Haley won the beauty contest vote. And they had two different ones, and their turnout on a per capita basis was like 10% of ours. Everybody in Nevada was like, what the hell's going on? This is stupid. So we can't afford to do that here. So we've got to keep ours clean, solid. We've got to support the candidates. We can't, none of these stupid protests at candidates, that happen maybe in some other big cities in other states. And we'll keep this thing going, and it brings a lot of money into the state. There's a ton of money into the state. And also the issues that we care about get highlighted. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing. And our voters are, I hate to admit it, way more educated in politics and informed than a lot of voters in other states.
I agree.
We just are.
Yeah.
Some people, you do a couple TV ads, you're going to win. It's all about money. Here, people are like, hey, I want to hear what this guy's got to say about this issue.
Yep.
It's much, I don't think we realize how much more our people are educated.
Yeah. Well, what's the old saying? I'm not going to vote for you unless I've met you at least twice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because they'll always say, well, do I have your vote? And you say, well, I've only met you once.
Right.
I mean, let's talk some more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. But the Republican side looks pretty good right now. There's a rules committee. Bill O'Brien's on the rules committee. A great guy to have on it. There's no challenge right now. Nobody's even talked about it. The next meeting is later in April. It's April training. It's more of a training meeting for the RNC. Nothing will come up. This next summer, there's a summer meeting, and there's another year to go when it could be changed. So we got a year from like August, and right now it looks pretty good. Party chairman and the co-chairman, Mike Whatley and Casey Crosby, no interest in changing it. So
good.
It looks good at the moment, but continue to work it. And Dave Scanlon's been fantastic. He's offered to go talk to RNC or DNC to explain our process, make sure people can have access to him. If they're concerned, he'll work with them. And that helps a lot, because last time in 24, you had the other states kind of jockeying to go first, and we wouldn't set our date. And that was making the RNC a little bit nervous. But the fact that we had communications with them constantly, and we say, no, we're not going to go ahead of Iowa unless this happens. If it does, we'll talk to them. But right now, everything is working out. We kept them from getting too nervous. So, and I have a lot of confidence in the current team, to keep that going. I'm not worried, but we don't take it for granted. Constantly working it. And so we send Christmas cards to the other states, remind them, soft sell, just soft sell.
Just a reminder, we're first.
Yeah, don't mess with them. No, we just are very polite about it. We do receptions. We bring paraphernalia from St. Anselm, like their presidential museum storage room. We take all kinds of paraphernalia going back to like the pre-World War II, first in the nation primary type of little artifacts, and just let people be part of it. Invite people here during the primary, and Steve Dupree has been very helpful in helping host some of those people.
That's great.
He's been really good. It's a whole team effort to keep it going, but it's really important. The amount of economic activity there's only estimates, but it's over the 4 years, it's got a B behind it. So it's big.
Wow.
Big numbers. Every dollar spent, generates $4.
Yeah.
Too. So the media buys, WMUR, man,
Big.
Those guys get huge benefit, and plus out of Boston, they get a lot of media as well. So,
and we have some AP people too that help out a little.
Yeah, and the hotels do great, and it's good for the state. It's good for the country. It really is.
And everybody's going to get a vest, a Trump vest, right? Wasn't that one of the things they're going to get when they?
I don't. Let me check on that, Jake. Let me check with my staff. Yeah, no, but it's good stuff. I don't miss being chairman because I'm still involved in other things.
Yeah,
and it's.
Well,
but these jobs are hard, though. These jobs are hard. I mean, I give. People who can do them for a long time period, I question their judgment, but but it's just hard. It's difficult, and
well, it's great to have you on the strategic side of this because we've missed some of that in the past. We weren't as strategic as I thought we could have been, but it's nice to see people come in that have that skill set that will help us get forward. I mean, that's crucial.
Can we get you a name, a Republican strategist nickname, like, Carville's the Raging Cajun. Do we have that? Can we get you a nice?
Yeah.
No, we gotta win. We win a federal seat in 26. Then
we'll have a nickname for you.
Then we'll get.
But it's got to be the one that we were helping. If it's the one we weren't helping, it's like. I don't know. I'll have to spin that somehow. It was a head fake.
And you just came home from a great trip.
Yeah, we did Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe. Basically the old Iron Curtain, Soviet bloc countries, and then plus Turkey. Yeah. Stopped in Istanbul, but I was really pleasantly surprised at how safe, friendly, tourist-friendly these countries were.
Were you expecting that? I mean, obviously you booked a trip during what is arguably a tumultuous time for that area of the world. Were you a little?
Well, I wasn't sure, and so like at first it was like, well, let's kind of stick with like the tour group stuff and. And after a day,
and not branch out.
Yeah, after about a day, it was like we're gonna walk down this side alley and go to dinner in a local place. Very friendly, very safe, easy to buy things. I mean, these people are hungry for money to come in, so local currency is always great. But they would take euros. A lot of places took dollars. Everybody took credit card.
Yep.
It was. Most people in the areas that we were going to spoke English, or
enough to get by.
Yeah, enough to help us make it work. Very safe, felt very safe. In Romania, they had a little political issue. They don't have a president now.
Right.
They kind of
pushed them out.
Yep, and we're in Romania, going, just going all over the place. It was no problem. They went to Turkey. While we were on the trip, they arrested the mayor of Istanbul. Was arrested by the president the day before. I think they had their local election for who was going to be their presidential candidate to run against them.
Oh no!
So basically, it was like, arrest your number one political opponent the day before he gets picked as your opponent, and that was Istanbul. we were in Istanbul, no problem the whole time.
That's awesome.
I think a couple days before they got there, they had like 1 million person protest in a big park, but it was safe. I mean, we went there. There's nothing. It was very safe.
No drum beating and screaming and yelling.
No, not even any trash left over. I
Wow.
mean, it was very, very, very pleasant surprise. All those kinds. Serbia, Bulgaria, places you never thought you'd go. Back in the day, they were the bad guys, and it was fantastic. In Bulgaria, there's this place called Pleven, and they have a big monument. It's like, I don't know, 5 stories tall, and it's a monument to the Romanians and the Russians who helped free them from the Ottoman Turks. And Serbia has some very similar things. And so when we say, why are some of these Eastern Europeans still kind of friendly to Russia? You know what? Well, heck, 100 plus years ago, the Russians helped.
You're tied inevitably
Yeah.
forever, right?
Yeah, and they're the same, they're Slavic people, most of them. So they have a lot in common, but they still want to join the EU and NATO. They want to be part of us, but they still have a connection. So we've got to remember those things when they have these deep, deep relationships. So.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks.
All right, it's my
We're
pleasure.
out of time.
We are out of time.
Leah Cushman.
Leah Cushman next week.
Yep.
So
Right.
that's going to be a fun show. Leah's always got lots
Exciting.
to say.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll see you
See you
next
next
week.
week. Thank you.